So as I look around the studio here, I'm kind of realizing that I have a collection of guitars that sort of span the gamut of price points, from the entry-level, kind of more budget-friendly guitars in the even $300 to $400 price range, all the way up to boutique custom guitars in the $4,000 to $5,000 price range. And they've come from a lot of different sources, a lot of different stories behind each of these guitars over what's now been probably 15 or so years of collecting instruments. But today I wanted to hit on 3 guitars specifically that are ones in the sub $1,000 price category that I think you should know about. These aren't the 3 guitars to know about. There's certainly a lot of different guitars in this category. It's pretty broad. There's even some in the studio here that are in that category that I really love, but I think these are unique guitars, kind of under the radar guitars, and ones that I think are really compelling options in that price range. Within the trio here, we actually have a decent range in price, from about a $500 guitar up to the $850, $900 price point. So hopefully there's something for each of you as you're considering a new guitar, as you're just curious or doing some research about some of these sub $1,000 guitars. We're gonna get into it and have some fun. Before we talk about the guitars, I kind of want to just talk about this category of guitar. I think in the past I've referenced this category as like a budget or budget friendly guitar, and to some that might be true and accurate, but to others there was sort of a scoff or kind of a rebuttal to that. And so I think what I mean when I'm talking about these sub $1,000 guitars, and I think the place which they live, at least in my mind, is perhaps a second guitar for some. In this day and age, we have a number of really true budget guitars in the $100 to $200 range, ones that you can order from Amazon that come from overseas, perhaps with a strap and a cable. Those, I would say, are very entry-level beginner guitars. And the category of guitars we're talking about today in this sub $1,000 category is more of a second guitar. It's more of like a player's guitar, someone who's wanting to level up from those beginner instruments, who's wanting to kind of take the next step of seriousness into their craft, into learning the instrument or playing it out. And really guitars that are very well suited for someone who's going to play them day in and day out. All of these, I think, are made by brands that take a special level of care and quality to their production, even in the lower end of guitars. And so that kind of differentiates them from the beginner or the entry-level guitar, in my opinion. However you categorize it, we're going to hit on these 3 guitars that come in below $1,000 on the new market and talk a little bit about why I love them, and then hear some sounds from each of them. The setup for each of the sounds here is going to be the same. I'm running the guitars through a small pedal board of effects, starting with a 29 Pedals EUNA, going on to a Vox smooth impact compressor for a little bit of compression, then onto a Strymon Big Sky MX for a touch of plate reverb. We're running everything into a Morgan 10 PM head and onto the UA aux box before hitting the DAW. We're going to start off with this Yamaha revstar RSS02T. These revstars are awesome guitars. From the day I got this one in, the playability and the feel of these instruments is fantastic. They've really developed a reputation at Yamaha of sending out guitars that are well set up, that feel and sound great from the get-go. And the revstar, I think, is an example of versatility, of a great sounding and great playing guitar, a cool sort of unique styling, and a great bang for your buck. These are at the higher end of the price point, coming in at $850 new, but I think you really get what you pay for with these revstars. There is a chambered mahogany body here with a maple top. You have 2 P90s in this model. There's also some models that offer dual humbucker configurations on these guitars. Rosewood bound fretboards, really comfortable carbon fiber reinforced necks. And they're just smooth, they're buttery, they play well, and they sound really great. So we're going to check out the revstar and just hear kind of the range of sounds you can get from it here. yesterday's video on the Guild DS240E, you heard me kind of allude to the praises of this guitar. This is the second in the list, and it's the Guild Surfliner Deluxe. It is a beautiful, kind of quirky, really fun instrument that kind of melds a few different stylings and vibes in one guitar. It's genuinely one of the funnest instruments that I've gotten in the last couple years, and I think they did a really great job on this model. You have a 25.5-inch scale length, so kind of back to that Fender scale. You have a bound rosewood fretboard again on this. There is a poplar body, and they've really done some cool color offerings for this model. And then you have a humbucker single pickup configuration, which I think gives this guitar a ton of versatility. Again, you've got a Guild humbucker here in the bridge that provides some warmth and kind of growl without being too high output. And then you have these de-armament single coil pickups that I think just sound really great. You can get some sort of strat type sounds and tones from them. You have that in between position and position 4 there that can give you, again, some of those sort of quacky single coil sounds. And there's a lot of clarity, there's a lot of kind of zing and sparkle to this guitar. And then of course the vibrato here that kind of lends itself sort of an offset vibe with that floating vibrato from Guild as well. These come in at $650 new, and again, I think are really great values. They're really fun guitars, and they're kind of a cool addition to your collection or your lineup of instruments, because they can either do a number of different things well if you've got a need for a more versatile guitar, or they can just be kind of something that's a little bit out of the ordinary that doesn't really duplicate something in your collection already. So we're going to hear some sounds from the Guild Surfliner Deluxe here. The last guitar in this roundup of sub $1,000 electrics is the Gretch 2655. It's part of their Streamliner model, center block constructed semi-hollow electrics. It comes in at $499, and so this is sort of the bottom end of the 3 that we're talking about today. And again, it's a really beautiful offering aesthetically. Gretch has been doing awesome work with some of these lower end Electromatic and Streamliner guitars, and some of the finishes and aesthetics they've chosen are really beautiful and kind of present this guitar in a way that makes the price tag a bit surprising. Like the Revstar, you have a 24 3/4 inch scale length, so it's a shorter scale length. You have bound neck and body, and you've got these F-holes to kind of give it that airiness and an open, organic kind of semi-hollow sound. You've got a pair of Gretch BT3S humbuckers, which in my opinion don't sound a ton like the classic Filtertron Gretch sound, but are really nice pickups in their own right. Some really nice warm humbucker style tones from the humbuckers, and then you also have the ability to split the coils with the volume pot pulled out and get some thinner, brighter, clearer single coil sounds from it. So again, a really versatile guitar, one that can kind of do a number of different sounds and textures pretty well, and a quite affordable instrument at $499 brand new. Let's hear some of the sounds from this Gretch 2655 Streamliner. So that's just a brief rundown of 3 guitars in that sub $1,000 category that I think are worth knowing about or checking out. They kind of span a fun range of stylings and appointments and specs, but are all ones that sound really great, have a variety of tones and sounds inside of them, and from my experience have played really well and come with a really nice attention to detail in terms of the quality, the aesthetics, and just the overall presentation. I'd love to also hear from you. Is there a guitar in this category below $1,000 that you think is worth knowing about, that you maybe want me to check out in future videos? Drop a note in the comments and we can chat about that too. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe below if you haven't already, and we'll see you around on the next video. Take care.